Hi, in this video I'm going to be showing you the controls for the new Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled game, which is a remake of the original classic and is available on both Xbox and PS4, but today we'll be going through the controls on Xbox. There are lots of different modes, from single player to multiple player to online modes, but they all focus on the same Crash Team Racing gameplay that we know and love. If you're new to the game or need a refresher on how it works, there's a really useful hints and tips section which gives an overview of how to use the menu and access the races, as well as explaining some of the controls. In the local arcade mode, there are 3 difficulty settings to choose for each race, which range from easy to medium and then hard. It's a good idea to start on easy if you're just getting used to the controls or if you've never played the game before, because medium does notably increase the challenge of the race and makes it more difficult to stay in the first and second places. In the options menu from the home screen, there are a few things that you have control over in the game. For instance, you can add or remove audio subtitles. You can also add or remove the rumble on your controller, and you can change a few things about the way that the screen looks when you're playing the game. There's also a really useful controls map to show you all the buttons and what they do. So the game gives you 2 control layouts to choose from. The standard is, again, the one that you might remember from the original game, where A acts as your accelerate, and you steer with the left stick, either left or right. You pull back on the left stick to reverse. Your other most important buttons will be B to use a weapon or an item, X to brake, which you might want to use for sliding, which is when you brake at the same time as turning to take a corner more quickly. You also have the controls for your camera, which will be the right and left triggers. So your right trigger moves the camera forward facing, so you might want to use that if you want to aim a weapon at a particular enemy, for instance. And then your left trigger moves the camera closer or further away from the third-person view of the racing cart. You can also choose to use the left stick for certain items, which you can throw forward. So if you just hold up on that left stick while pressing your B button, you'll throw it in the forward direction. You also have your left and right bumpers, which both act to make your cart hop, which can be useful again in making tight turns. Less importantly, perhaps, but if you really want to increase your competition in the game, you'll want to use power slides. If you keep holding down either one of the bumpers while steering into a turn, you'll do a power slide. You can also do an even faster power slide, which is called a power slide turbo. To do this, you'll need to press down one of the bumpers when landing from a jump, for instance. Then on the bottom right hand of the screen, you'll notice a power bar start to fill up. When the power bar gets to the top, you'll notice smoke spilling from the exhaust of your cart, and while still holding one of the bumpers, press the other bumper to then enter a power slide turbo. So this move is a little bit more tricky, but can be really helpful to gain speed on other players. There are only a few differences in the alternate control scheme, which mainly affect how you accelerate and how you do your power slides. To begin with, right trigger is now your accelerate instead of A. Some people feel a lot more comfortable using the right trigger to accelerate, as it tends to be a very familiar control scheme in a lot of other racing games. In the alternate control scheme, your right bumper will now control camera distance, and your A button will now be your hop or power slide. So you'll be using the A button in conjunction with your left bumper now to do your turbo power slides. If you prefer to have a speedometer on screen rather than your map, you can use Y to toggle between those two, but it's not needed. You may also choose to steer left and right with your D-pad, but again, that's not needed. If a TNT crate from an enemy lands on you, you'll have to use either your A button or your left bumper now. Whichever you're using for hop, you'll have to press that button repeatedly to get rid of it. Generally, there are quite a few controls to get used to for this racing game. However, they aren't all essential, and while they do add to the gameplay, you can get away with simply using your left stick to steer, your accelerate, and your use item button. If you need a refresher on how to use any of the more complicated moves in the game, there is also an overview of this in the hints and tips section. Each track will feature a number of obstacles and things to collect. A key feature in the game is that the more Wumpa fruit you collect, the faster you'll go. This is really helpful, especially if you're not using a lot of the power slides or the turbo boosts. Character choice can also have a huge impact on gameplay. They all have different strengths, such as how easily they turn or how quickly they accelerate. As you get to know the different tracks in the game, you'll get a better idea for which character you want to use in each race. Thanks for watching, and please don't hesitate to get in touch with us at Special Effect if you have any questions.